shot. Think Thayer, come on, let's get rolling. Come on, let's get moving. Think Thayer.
Is there a particular moment that the offense sparked in your eyes, kind of got it rolling?
Yeah, John, I can't, it's hard for me to remember that kind of stuff, honestly. You know what I mean? I thought it was, obviously it was closed at halftime, and the halftime speech was we had to go out and get a stop, which we did, and we had to put another one on the board, which we did, and I can't remember after that. They may have scored on the next drive, but I think the next 2 or 3 series we put some touchdowns on the board and kind of got out of hand.
Even if they did score, it was just a field goal and you were scoring touchdowns. Was there something? It looked, when you had the long pass early on, Johnson to Lewis for like 40-some yards, that looked like it was the flicking of a light switch there. Was that a particular play where you saw something, or is that, it looks like that's just what you guys do?
Well, the big thing on that play, we got excited because that was their shutdown corner, and Roger just ran by, and if Roger can run by their best corner, then it's going to be a long day. So I mean that was something we did notice that, and that got everybody fired up because that guy's a really good player. But Roger did a nice job.
When you talk also, I want to talk about the pass that Matt threw to Ronnie Moore for the touchdown. In particular, it was just before halftime. Matt was close to being sacked, got away, rolled out.
Thank you.
Well, because I want to ask you about Matt's ability. I mean, early on it got him in trouble. He kind of walked into a sack, but on that play, he extended a play, allowed Ronnie to get open and turn it into a touchdown.
We really want him to be a pocket quarterback, but he has a God-given ability, a slip ability. I know that's not a word, but let's print it. He has the ability to just be slippery. I can still remember the Purdue game where the guy had a sack and he bent down and the guy looks like he was going to kill him, and then he goes underneath the guy and he either runs or throws for a very big play. You have to try to contain that, but that's part of his game, and you don't want to take that completely away. And it was a fantastic job by him. And anytime you hit Ronnie Moore in space with wide receivers working down the field picking up blocks, I mean, that's like a punt return in Ronnie Moore or a kickoff return and Ronnie Moore's got space. That's not good for the opponent in that situation.
And you had several plays for touchdowns where, I'm thinking in particular the Dieter long pass play where basically it's a 50-50 ball. He goes and grabs it and runs it in. That's also what these receivers can do, isn't it? Just win 50-50 balls.
They do a nice job of battling, and when the ball's in the air, it's ours, and we take a lot of pride in it. Those guys are my babies. We take a lot of pride in that, and you can't throw the football like we do if those guys aren't going to take care of it for us. And if it's not a great throw, you need to become a DB and knock it down. If it's a 50-50 throw, you need to come down with it. And those guys take a lot of pride in that. And the thing I will say is, even in tight coverage, I mean, Matt Johnson throws such a catchable ball, and the location is almost always, exactly where you want. He's just dropping dimes and a lot of deep balls, which makes those guys, when they're playing, even better, so to speak.
You could just, I guess, very simply describe what the offense has been able to do. Ever since that Week 6 game, Lou said, it starts to go. There hasn't, it just seems like, another 580-yard day, whatever. To you, though, what's the offense like?
We were in practice the other day. It was a Thursday, and the guys that have been with me a long time on offense, I told them to stop coaching and come here and let's watch 3 or 4 plays. And we're calling plays, and you see the quarterback, you see Matt, you see the offensive line, you see the receivers, and they're at that stage, the art of knowing without knowing. They're just going through the motions to the point where I'm not going to say the word bored, but you can challenge them and you can ask them questions about the offense, and they're like, Coach, why'd you ask that? I know the answer. They've got the answers. They understand. And this is where it gets fun, is that boring practice may be kind of boring to them, but when you put emotion to knowing exactly what to do and how to do it, it makes the games really fun.
And 62 is not boring.
It was a good day. Now a lot of that has to do with how the other team plays us too, and it has to do with structure and stuff like that. But it was a good day.
To be 5-0 at this point, how important is that for what you guys are trying to ultimately do?
It's very important. We want to be the first team that's won the East 3 times in a row. We haven't won it. You know, we've got 2 games up on the 3 closest people, and if those 3 teams lose one, then we'll win it. Or we have to find a way to win one of the next 3 games to win it outright. And you know, so we haven't reached our goal, which is winning the East, but we're right there and we can see it.
So to be 1 game away, like you said, you need one of these next 3. At this point, you know, how does that kind of feel rather than, you know, be later on in November and kind of have to, you know, have more pressure on you?
You have to do it. We're not there yet. You can't just close that book because the story's still going. We have to win one more, or those 3 teams have to all lose one more. So we haven't done anything yet. We can see the finish line, but we haven't crossed it yet.
Coach, three more games left in November. How much of an advantage is it playing in weather like tonight in November for a team that likes to throw the ball around?
You know, I asked someone, one of our reporters, and I asked him, when was the last time we had weather like this in November? And he says, I've been here how many years? And he says, we have never had weather like this. I hope one of you guys can co-sign that, because I try not to use the word never always. But, you know, that's God's will. If he wants us to play in 56-degree weather first week in November, God bless him. I was all for it. I wore my short sleeve shirt.
Sort of. We talked, Coach, about the play of your offensive line, and I noticed McAuliffe didn't start. You had Hunter at center and used Ben Stewart, I think, at guard.
You know, we're still banged up. Timmy didn't play. You know, so Timmy didn't play at all. We got guys moved around, and you know, it's amazing because you tell people the truth and yet they don't believe you. We are banged up, and we're struggling, trying to get healthy. But it's been a long physical season, and the East is, people talk about the East and the West. The East is physical. Frank Solich came out with some old school football stuff. Thank God I watched TV when I was little, and we knew what it was, but I mean, that was 1960 stuff. And it was great. I mean, sheesh. We might have to do some of that stuff. It was fantastic when, you know, you have to get in at halftime, you got to regroup. And I knew Frank would come up with something. He's a fantastic coach. I've known him since 1988, gone against him in 1988. He's a fabulous coach. And his guys were going to play hard. And it was a physical game. Count how many guys were down, how many times play stopped. And it wasn't because of conditioning. I mean, there were so many timeouts in that game. What is it, almost midnight? I mean, it wasn't because of conditioning. There was some serious smacking going on out there. And it was regardless of the score. My hat's off to Coach Solich. That's a good football. That football team's going to make. That's going to go to a bowl. That's going to be a bowl team. I bet you. That's going to be a bowl team. They're going to get bowl eligible.
Defensively, what kind of adjustments did you have to make against their option, or was it a matter of just getting them out of a?
Yeah, we had to change some stuff up. We had to get some more pressure on the quarterback. You know, but you know, we had the ability, and really, we really anticipated option. We just didn't know if he was going to go all the way back to the 60s. But we anticipated options, so it was just a matter of changing up, you know, based off of what he was doing, and change some targeting stuff. But great job. I mean, look what they rushed for. Fabulous job. But the defense did a great job of bending, not breaking. In those situations, just keep the score right and let us do what we do, and we'll be okay.
It also, tell me if you agree with this, it also helped that you ended up giving yourself such a lead that you made them throw the ball more because they had to score a little more quickly to try and get back into it.
I actually think that, no, I don't really, John,
You're
you and
allowed to
I are
disagree.
always disagreeing.
No worries.
I really believe when the starting quarterback got hurt, that the backup quarterback is a better thrower. I mean, we played against him last year, and you saw some of the balls he threw. That wasn't an option quarterback throwing the ball out there. I mean, he was zipping those digs and those balls in there. That's a throwing quarterback. So now we practiced for one thing, so we had the run in the first half, and then now we got the pass in the second half. So it was good. I mean, it was entertaining.
And to get more pressure on the quarterback, what kinds of things were you doing?
We brought some extra guys and did some twisting and things like that. But they were stout. They did a nice job. You know, I want to say this, and this is, you may not believe, I thought it was one of the best referee games that we've had in a long time. And that's not because we came out on top. I thought the calls they made against us were legit, and I think the calls that they made against the other team was legit. It was a great crew.
The last week when we talked, you said you're kind of flexible on your November schedule with the guys banged up. It seemed like, I guess aside from that being picked up, but when we were talking about the November schedule, you seem like you're kind of not completely ad-libbing it, but flexible, I guess, to be the right phrase.
You know, we have a plan for November, but
Right.
like all plans, you know, it can adjust. And we had a plan in place, but we wanted to see, it has to do with weather, and we wanted to see what the temperature was going to be like as we got closer to November. And we had a cold weather plan, and we look at the weather today. So we didn't have to implement that, and we just did what we normally do. But as the weather starts to change, we'll do some things that are different.
I guess as it pertains to the injuries, are you going to do anything differently in practice over the next week or so?
Yeah, we may have to hit a little bit less, but it's tough. I mean, because we're going up against 3 opponents that, one at a time, that, they're going to be good games, people that we did not beat last year. So we're going to have to still practice hard, then try to find a way to rest people at the same time.
Coach, you're kind of the standard bearer right now with the success you've had in the East, and you're headed into the West now. Do you guys ever listen to any of that chatter that the fans are always talking about, the East versus the West and the West?
You know, I think the East has really good teams, and I think it has really good coaches. And we'll go over there, and when the East plays the West, we're rooting for our guys on our side, and I think they root for us. And we're going to go over there and try to carry the flag. But those are all good teams, and they're all good coaches, and we're going to have to see. I'm sure there's going to be some lucky bounces that are going to decide some games, and I'm sure weather and everything else will have a lot to do with it.